So it's on a web browser, and it goes through the incidents that are there. Quick summary on the right-hand side, when it was updated, and it'll tell you the number of published reports and the number of reports submitted. Create an incident report. You've got to create a login, but it's up to you. You don't have to put any usable details in there. The advantage of this is that if there's any problems or any clarification, I can come back to you. But also, if you have some more information, you can come back to your own report. So creating a report now, you've got an account. An incident is made up of a number of reports, and a report is made up of a location, a number of divers, a number of dives, and then the incident detail itself. You can also, if I put an incident in there, you can search for one. You can do a keyword search and come up with any of the incidents that are filtered on there. I can do tags for that as well. Put in a date. It could be as simple as, in fact, it's going to be quite crucial. All the data is hidden from the public until you declare what it is. And that's in the very last tab that says Preview and Submit. Put a date in, summary. This text is what you will see in the summary page on that incidents tab. So a couple of sentences saying what happened. Diver had DCI, wreck diving to 30 metres, evacuated by helicopter. Something like that. And the idea is that actually you can have a number of involvements present on the dive, present on site, whether or not you're a researcher, location itself. This never appears in the public report. I decide if you told me what level of publicity or publication you can have. You can put in your own site, or you can use the one that's already there. There's a series of drop-downs. And as I say, the divers themselves know. I mean, one diver, multiple divers. As you go through DISMS, there are drop-downs that basically have collapsible bits, plus and minus. Put in whatever you like. You don't have to put this detail in. Anything that's in here, there's no mandatory entry at all. So even if it says it, you don't have to put it in. But obviously, the more detail you put in, the more it helps. Public, personal details, name, never get published. One of the bits here, there was medical issues as we come through, qualifications of experience. Collect these, but actually they don't really mean anything because you could hold a number of qualifications. The idea for this is I can then fuzzy it and say you've got a recreational level 2 qualification and you've got 30 dives to that name. And these are all of the agencies that are listed by the HSE and the qualifications that I can put off their sites. Put in that, when was the last time you dived? Click those. And you can keep on adding those as you like. Equipment configuration. It's made up of a gas in a cylinder that's got a regulator attached to it, and it's configured a certain way. And you can make as many cylinders as you like. Bail out, deco stages, put a regulator on it. A regulator is attached to a gas, its use and its routing. So we can then start saying, quantifiably, is there a problem with doing certain configurations for regulators? There's a lot of detail in here, but there is this balance between collecting enough detail to be able to do some good analysis to somebody getting bored halfway through the report and filling it in. So you can put whatever you like, please. As I say, you don't have to put anything in. The bit that needs a bit of work is rebreather. I'm not a rebreather diver, but I've gone through as much as I can with regard to the models. You can put loop gases in, bailout valve. There's a lot of configuration within there, again, but if you don't like something, you can just delete it. Each time you've got a drop down, you can see what's listed. There are no rules that says you can have certain configurations. Trying to put a rule matrix together for this would be a complete nightmare and disproportionate to what you would get back out of it. So word checks done, positive, negative test and things, and then cancel it. Again, gas filled comments. Was it contaminated? Did you have any problem with the kit? When was it last serviced? Things like that. Anything that helps build up the story. A dive is made up of a number of, there can be a number of divers on the dive. And it's not limited. You can put as many as you like. Again, the same details through. Then we move on to the dive itself. Throughout here, we've got little information symbols. Move it over, it gives you a bit of information. What time did you enter the water? Depth, time. But you can have a number of profiles for a dive, because you can have your planned profile, and then you can have the one you did. You can upload profiles if need be. So a screen grab or a data set, it's just a file, so you can have anything you like in there. Save it. So there's my planned profile. I'm now going to do the profile I actually did. Who was on the dive? And what were they doing? Were they an instructor, a diver, student? What profile did they do? Were they doing video? There's a lot of additional data here that, for just narrative, it probably won't help that much. But from looking at the statistics, the idea was to build as much into this as possible so it has got future growth capability. It's much easier to put, at the software design level, all the requirements down before you start putting it together. You may not use them all. And again, the environment you're in. What sort of platform you're on. Trying to break down a dive into its constituent parts. If nothing's entered, it's just blank in the database. From the bottom temperature and the depot temperature, this sort of data will help the guys doing the research into efficient decompression on this, trying to get that. And this is the narrative and the comments lessons learned, where, in effect, the meat of what's there. It's a bit of a catch-22. You put this right at the start so people fill it in, and then don't bother putting any of the parametric data in, or you put it at the end and hopefully they've got this far and you put it in. So what I've found is that people have basically skipped through the top bit and gone to the narrative and put the comments. But there's an education process required to say, actually, you need to put in as much detail as possible. As we've shown on the two case studies, if you just said, diver had a narcosis on a rebreather and bailed out, resolved it in the shallower depths. Great. What's the lesson learned from that? You need to be able to understand it. Why did the incident occur? And what do you think your lessons learned were? What would you do differently? It's interesting what people thought the problem was versus when you start breaking it down, what really happened. I'd say that the future growth of this is that the output of my PhD to come up with a taxonomy to start tagging those and understand why an incident occurred. This is the bit that people are really worried about. What am I going to tell people? You tell the system how much goes public. And as you do, at the bottom, you can see the preview comes up. And as you expand each one of those, you can put medical details if you want, see, and this is the fuzziness. So age 31 to 40, total dies, their boundary. The sort of qualification is down the bottom. It's fuzzy, so you can't see specifically what agency or what qualification they have. Because it's meaningless, really. And then you submit the report. And then very shortly, I then get an email that says, there's a report waiting to be looked at. I don't get any details of it, I just get a ping, you've had a report come through. And I end up looking at it. If I haven't created an incident at that stage, it's there, it just comes through as a report saying it needs to be looked at. So this is a bit at the other end, searching and recalling, because there needs to be that feedback loop. So you can look at your submissions, so you can look at the incidents that are there, say DCI. You can now pull up a report. There's one here from a rebreather diver. Conducted a rebreather dive without analysing gas. There's analysis there, which I've not yet put in, and it's something that I need to do, is put more analysis in there. But you can see what the report was that was submitted, and the public area. You can see their experience, and you can see their dive. What were they planning on doing? And you can see the narrative that went with it. So you get a feedback capability here. Tags I want to do, and there's be some filtering. Things like rebreather open circuit, and again, it's the same report that's here.